My name is Selvi. In May 2024, during the school holiday, I traveled to Egypt with my husband, our son, and my mother. We planned to spend 1 week with my husband's family, followed by a relaxing week in Hurghada at the beach. I never imagined that this trip would completely change my life. On the final day of our holiday, we were together at the beach. My husband said he was going to buy cigarettes. When he came back, he brought a football shirt for our son and said there were many more shirts nearby that he wanted to take a look at with my son. They walked away together. Time passed and something did not feel right. I tried to call my husband several times, but he did not answer. I returned to the hotel room where I discovered that both my husband's and my son's belongings were gone. The passports had also been removed from the hotel safe. Eventually, I managed to reach my husband by phone. He told me that I would never get our son back, and then he hung up. From that moment on, I could no longer contact him. My son had been abducted by his own father. I immediately reported the hotel staff and the police arrived quickly. At the same time, my sister in the Netherlands contacted the Dutch police to report the abduction. Because Egypt is not a member of the Hague Convention of International Child Abduction, I was advised to pursue the matter through the Egyptian legal system. Through the International Child Abduction Center, I hired an Egyptian lawyer. Together, we started legal proceedings to secure custody and bring my son back to me. A few weeks later, I was finally allowed to speak briefly with my son by phone. He sounded happy to hear my voice. But I learned that his father had told him that I had already returned to the Netherlands and that he could not leave Egypt because of the war in Gaza. I had been warned to remain calm during these conversations because any confrontation could mean I would never hear from my son again. I stayed in Egypt for 2 months, fighting through the courts. Eventually, the Egyptian court granted me a delivery decision of my son. I finally believed there was hope. But the process was painfully slow. Documents had been transferred between courts in Hurghada and Luxor, where my husband and son were believed to be staying. During this period, my husband manipulated and deceived me repeatedly. At one point, just after I arrived to the Netherlands, he sent me messages claiming that our son was in intensive care and urgently needed surgery. Desperate and terrified, I transferred money and flew back to Egypt immediately with my sister to find my child. We searched for days only to discover that the entire story had been fabricated. Then, on October 14th, a recovery operation finally took place in Luxor. Together with my lawyers and the local police, we went to the husband's village where I found my son. Seeing him after 5 months was overwhelming, but he was deeply distressed. His father had convinced him that if he left with me, he would never see his father again. My son was terrified and emotionally torn apart. Wanting to protect him from further trauma, I agreed that we would stay together in a hotel with my husband and son so he could calm down. My husband had signed official documents agreeing that our son would come with me, so I believed we could resolve things peacefully. Instead, after several days, the situation escalated. My husband became aggressive, threatened me, assaulted me, and abducted our son for the second time. I was forced to return to the Netherlands without my child. Since then, I have not seen or spoken to him. Despite this, I continued fighting. I initiated divorce proceedings and later applied for custody in Egypt. On July 20th of last year, I was officially granted legal custody of my son by the Egyptian court. In addition, I also obtained the court order in the Netherlands confirming that my son should be returned to me. Yet, despite court rulings in both countries, my son is still not with me. We now have reason to believe that his father has told him that I am deceased. No child should grow up believing that his mother abandoned him or no longer exists. My son deserves to know that I am alive, that I love him deeply, and that I have never stopped searching for him. I'm also deeply worried about his well-being. I've been told that he has not attended school for over a year. I fear for his emotional and mental health and for the lasting impact the situation is having on him. For more than 2 years, my entire life has revolved around trying to bring my son home. I have traveled back and forth to Egypt, worked with lawyers, spoken to authorities, and followed every legal path available to me. I've done everything within my power, and still my son is not with me. I beg you, President El-Sisi, to help me, to let the police and foreign affairs help me. I miss him every single day. The pain of not knowing how he is, whether he feels safe, or whether he knows that his mother is still fighting for him, is unbearable. All I want is to hold my son again. Please bring back my child.